Admiral Kethvar looked at the blue planet spinning slowly on his command screen. His 4 eyes studied the data flowing across the display. Earth looked like every other primitive world they had found in the past 50 years. The scans showed one species living there. They called themselves humans. Another simple conquest, Kethvar said to his aide. His voice carried the confidence of someone who had done this many times before. They have not even left their own star system yet. The aide, a young Zephyrian named Talmesh, nodded his agreement. The scans show they still burn fossil fuels. For energy, Admiral. Their weapons are chemical explosives and metal projectiles. They should surrender quickly when they see our fleet. Kethvar stood up from his command chair. His tall, thin frame moved with practiced ease across the bridge of his flagship. Around him, 50 other ships waited for his orders. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a city. Together, they could turn the surface of any planet into glass. "What else do we know about them?" he asked. Commander Vexhai, the fleet's intelligence officer, pulled up more data. Her tentacles moved quickly across her control panel. "They are always fighting each other, Admiral. In the past century, they have had 2 major wars that killed millions of their own kind. They cannot agree on anything. They have over 200 separate governments. Primitive savages," Kethvar laughed. "They spend their time killing each other instead of advancing their technology. How many are there?" "About 8 billion, Vexhai replied. "Most live in crowded cities. Their industrial capacity is decent, but their technology is at least 500 years behind ours." Kethvar walked to the large window at the front of his bridge. Earth looked peaceful from this distance. White clouds swirled over blue oceans. Green and brown land masses dotted the surface. It reminded him of dozens of other worlds the Zephyrian Empire had conquered. The Empire had been expanding for 3,000 years. They had taken over 400 star systems. Each conquest followed the same pattern. First, they would study the target world from a distance. Then, they would arrive with overwhelming force. The native species would see the size of the Zephyrian, fleet and surrender quickly. Those who cooperated would become workers for the Empire. Those who resisted would be eliminated. "Begin standard invasion protocol," Kethvar ordered. "Send the surrender demand to all their major population centers." Communications Officer Yithral began broadcasting the message. The Zephyrians had learned many human languages from intercepted radio signals. The message was simple and clear. "People of Earth, you are now part of the Zephyrian Empire. Surrender immediately and you will be treated fairly. Resist and you will be destroyed. You have 48 hours to respond." "Why do we give them time to think?" asked Talmesh. "Wouldn't it be better to attack immediately?" Kethvar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "Young one, you will learn that fear is our best weapon. For the next 2 days, they will look up at our ships and know they cannot win. Their leaders will argue. Their people will panic. When the time comes, they will be happy to surrender just to end their suffering." The response came 6 hours later. It was a simple message from something called the United Nations. The human who spoke looked calm, which surprised Kethvar. Most species showed fear when they first saw Zephyrian ships. "We have received your message," the human said. "We request additional time to prepare for formal discussions. 48 hours is not enough time for our governments to coordinate. A proper response." The bridge fell silent. Vexhai checked her translation systems twice. "Admiral, they are asking for more time." "More time?" Kethvar laughed so hard that his whole body shook. "They want more time to argue among themselves about how to surrender." The other officers joined in his laughter. This was exactly what they expected from a primitive species. Humans were so disorganized that they needed extra time just to give up properly. "Send them this message," Kethvar said. "You have exactly 48 hours from our original transmission, not 1 minute more. Use this time wisely." As the hours passed, the Zephyrians monitored human communications. Radio and television broadcasts showed exactly what they expected. Crowds of humans gathered in streets, looking up at the sky with fear. Their leaders held emergency meetings. Some called for immediate surrender. Others wanted to fight. A few suggested trying to negotiate. "Look at them," Tolmesh said, watching the feeds from Earth. "They have no unity, no plan. They are like children arguing about which toy to play with." Kethvar nodded. "This is why they never advanced beyond their home world. They waste all their energy fighting each other instead of building better technology." But as the deadline approached, Vexahai began to notice strange things. Human. Military bases around the world were increasing their power consumption. Satellites that seemed to be simple communication devices were moving into new positions. Underground facilities were showing energy readings that didn't match their supposed purposes. "Admiral," she said, "I am detecting unusual activity on the planet's surface." "What kind of activity?" Kethvar asked. "Power levels are rising at military installations worldwide. Some of their orbital platforms are repositioning themselves, and there are energy signatures coming from deep underground that we didn't detect in our initial scans." Kethvar waved a dismissive hand. "They are probably preparing their primitive, nuclear weapons. Let them waste their energy on gestures. Our shields can stop anything they have." When the 48 hours ended, Earth's response surprised everyone on the Zephyrian flagship. Instead of surrender, they received another transmission from the same calm human. "People of the Zephyrian Empire," the human said, "we thank you for your patience. After careful consideration, we must respectfully decline your offer. Instead, we counter-propose that your fleet withdraw beyond the edge of our solar system within 1 hour. Failure to comply will result in defensive measures." The bridge fell completely silent. Tolmesh's mouth hung open. Vexahai rechecked her. "Translation systems again." Kethvar stared at the screen in disbelief. Did they just threaten us?" he asked. "It appears so, Admiral," Vexahai replied quietly. Kethvar's surprise quickly turned to anger. "Defensive measures? What defensive measures could they possibly have? Their most powerful weapons couldn't scratch our smallest ship." That's when every major city on Earth went dark. Not destroyed, not damaged, just dark. Power grids that had been running moments before simply shut down. 8 billion humans disappeared from all sensors as if they had never existed. "What happened?" Kethvar demanded. Vexahai worked frantically at her controls. "All power on the planet's surface has been redirected underground, Admiral. Massive energy draws are occurring at facilities we cannot locate. It's as if the entire planet is powering up for something." For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Kethvar felt a small flutter of uncertainty in his chest. But he pushed it aside. Whatever trick the humans were trying, it would not work against the might of the Zephyrian Empire. "Prepare for attack," he ordered. "These primitive savages need to learn their place in the galaxy." But deep down, a voice whispered that maybe, just maybe, they had misunderstood something important about the humans. Commander Vexahai had not slept in 36 hours. Her 4 arms moved constantly across her workstation, running scan after scan of the darkened planet below. Something was very wrong with Earth, and she was the only one who seemed to notice. "Admiral," she called across the bridge, "I need to show you something." Kethvar was studying attack formations with his tactical officers. The human ultimatum had amused him at first, but now their strange behavior was becoming annoying. He wanted to begin the bombardment and end this foolishness. "What is it, Commander?" he asked without looking up from his plans. "Our initial scans of Earth were incomplete," Vexahai said. "I have been running deeper analysis, and the results do not match what we observed before." This got Kethvar's attention. Vexahai was the best intelligence officer in the fleet. She had never been wrong. About a target world before. "Explain." Vexahai brought up a 3-dimensional image of Earth above her workstation. "Look at their cities, Admiral. We thought their buildings were made of primitive materials like steel and concrete. But when I increase scan sensitivity, I can detect traces of crystalline structures and metallic alloys that should not exist with their technology level. Tolmesh leaned forward to look at the display. Maybe they learned to make better materials than we thought? That's not the strangest part. Vexhai continued. She highlighted several points in Earth's orbit. These objects we classified as simple space stations and communication satellites. Watch what happens when I track their movement over the past 48 hours. The display showed the orbital objects moving in precise patterns around Earth. They were not drifting randomly like primitive satellites should. Instead, they moved with purpose and coordination that required advanced guidance systems. Interesting, Kethvar admitted, but not threatening. Perhaps they are more advanced than typical primitive species. Vexhai's tentacles curled with frustration. Admiral, there is more. Much more. I have detected energy readings from underground facilities that are impossible with their supposed technology. Some of these readings suggest power generation that rivals our own ships. She brought up another display showing energy signatures from deep beneath Earth's surface. Bright spots of intense activity dotted the planet like a hidden network of installations. How deep are these facilities? Asked Kethvar. Some are 5 kilometers underground. Others are even deeper. The energy output suggests massive industrial complexes, but our surface scans show no evidence of their construction. It's as if they were built without disturbing the surface at all. The bridge grew quiet as the officers studied the data. Engineering. Officer Krauloth spoke up from his station. Commander, those energy readings are consistent with matter-antimatter reactors, but that's impossible. No species develops that technology before mastering interstellar travel. Are you certain about these readings? Kethvar asked. I have run the scans 15 times, Admiral. Each time the results are the same. The humans are operating technology that should not exist on their world. Kethvar walked to the main viewing screen. Earth hung in space before them, still dark and silent. For the first time since arriving at this system, he felt uncertain about their mission. What about their military forces? He asked. Where are their armies and weapons? That's another problem, Vexhai replied. When the cities went dark, I lost track of most human military units. Our sensors can still detect their vehicles and bases, but the personnel seem to have disappeared. Millions of soldiers are simply gone. Communications Officer Yithral turned from his station. Admiral, I am also detecting unusual communication patterns. The humans are using transmission methods that we cannot fully decode. The signals are too complex for their supposed technology level. Show me, Kethvar ordered. Yithral displayed the human communication network. Instead of the simple radio and satellite signals they expected, they were seeing quantum-encrypted transmissions and data streams that bounced through hidden relay points throughout the solar system. These communication methods are at least 200 years more advanced than anything we detected in their civilian broadcasts, Yithral said. It's as if they have been hiding their real capabilities from us. Tactical Officer Brendar looked up from his weapons console. Admiral, I have been analyzing their defensive positions. Something is not right. They have no visible military formations, no fleet deployments, no orbital defense platforms. For a species facing invasion, they show no signs of military preparation. Maybe they are cowards who plan to hide underground until we leave, suggested Tolmesh. Vexhai shook, her head vigorously. No, look at this. She brought up recordings of human military conflicts from their databases. In their recent wars, humans showed remarkable tactical ability and fierce determination. They do not surrender easily, and they do not hide from superior enemies. They adapt and fight. The recordings showed human soldiers in various conflicts over the past century. They fought with skill and courage that impressed even the experienced Zephyrian officers. These were not the actions of a cowardly species. Then where are they? Kethvar demanded. Where are their armies? Where are their weapons? Where is their fleet? I don't know, Admiral. Vexhai admitted. But I believe we are missing something very important about the humans. As if responding to her words, new contacts appeared on the tactical display. Objects were approaching from the outer edge of the solar system. They moved faster than any ship in the Zephyrian fleet. "Admiral," Brendar called out, "multiple contacts approaching from multiple vectors. Speed and trajectory suggest artificial objects, but they are not using any propulsion system we can identify." Kethvar rushed to the tactical station. "How many?" 12. No, 18. The count keeps changing. They appear and disappear from our sensors. Are they ships? Unknown. They are too far away for detailed scans, but their size suggests they are larger than our destroyers. Vexhai joined them at the tactical display. "Admiral, these objects are using technology we do not understand. They can somehow hide from our sensors while moving at incredible speeds." The mysterious objects continued their approach for several hours, sometimes visible on sensors, sometimes completely invisible. When they finally stopped, they held position at the edge of Earth's orbit, just beyond the range of detailed scans. "Can we get a clear image of them?" Kethvar asked. "Negative, Admiral," Brendar replied. "Every time we focus our sensors on them, they seem to shift or blur. It's like they are not quite there." Suddenly, all human communication networks came back online. Cities around the world began to glow with light again, but now the energy readings were different. Instead of the primitive power grids they had detected before, the planet was running on advanced fusion and antimatter reactors. "Admiral," Vexhai said quietly, "I believe the humans have been lying to us from the beginning. Everything we observed about their primitive technology was a deception." Kethvar stared at the planet that had seemed so simple just days before. The humans had somehow hidden their true capabilities so well that even advanced Zephyrian sensors had been fooled. "But why?" he asked. "Why would they pretend to be primitive?" "Maybe," Vexhai said, "they were waiting for someone like us to come looking for an easy conquest." Before Kethvar could respond, a new transmission came from Earth. The same calm human appeared on their screen, but now he was wearing what looked like a military uniform covered in symbols they didn't recognize. "Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire," the human said. "Thank you for waiting. We are now ready to begin formal discussions. However, we must inform you that the situation has changed. You now have 1 hour to withdraw your fleet beyond the edge of this solar system, or we will be forced to take defensive action." The transmission ended, leaving the Zephyrian bridge in stunned silence. The human had known Kethavar's name and rank, information that should have been impossible for them to obtain. Admiral Kethvar had heard enough. The humans could hide their technology and play their games, but they were still just one species on one planet, facing the might of 50 Zephyrian warships. He would show them what happened to those who defied. "The Empire, all ships prepare for orbital bombardment," he commanded. "Target their major population centers. We will give them one demonstration of our power. Then they will surrender." Around the fleet, weapon systems powered up. Particle beam cannons and plasma torpedoes armed themselves. Each ship had enough firepower to level a mountain. Together, they could reshape continents. "Weapons ready, Admiral," reported Tactical Officer Brendar. "Begin the attack," Kethvar ordered. That's when the impossible happened. Above the largest human cities, the sky began to change. At first, it looked like heat shimmer on a hot day. The air seemed to wave and bend. Then the distortion grew stronger. Reality itself appeared to be stretching and tearing like old fabric. "What is that?" Tolmesh asked, pointing at the main viewing screen. The tiers in the sky grew larger. Through them, instead of seeing space or clouds, they could see something else entirely. Dark spaces that seemed to go on forever. And in those dark spaces, shapes were moving. "Admiral," Vexhai called from her station, "I am detecting massive spatial distortions above Earth's major population centers. It's as if space-time itself is being opened." "That's impossible," Kethvar said. No known technology can tear holes in space. But even as he spoke, the first ships began to emerge. They came through the tiers in the sky like sea creatures rising from deep water. First one, then 10, then hundreds. Each ship was larger than anything the Zephyrians had ever seen. Their hulls were smooth and dark, made from materials that seemed to absorb light. Strange energy patterns flowed along their surfaces like living things. "Count them," Kethvar ordered, his voice barely a whisper. Brendar worked frantically at his console. 200. 500. "Admiral, they're still coming through. The count is now over 1,000 ships." The human fleet continued to pour through the dimensional rifts. Massive dreadnoughts that dwarfed Zephyrian battleships, sleek destroyers that moved like hunting animals, carriers that launched smaller ships like swarms of insects, and behind them, vessels so large that they blotted out portions of the sky. Energy. "Readings, Commander!" Kethvar demanded. Vexhi's tentacles moved across her controls with desperate speed. "Admiral, their power signatures are beyond our measurement capabilities. Single ships are generating more energy than our entire fleet combined." The largest of the human ships settled into position directly in front of the Zephyrian fleet. It was a floating city made of metal and energy, easily 5 times the size of Kethvar's flagship. Along its hull, weapon ports opened like the eyes of some great beast awakening. "Admiral," Communications Officer Yithral called out, "we are receiving," a transmission from the lead human vessel. The image that appeared on their screen made every Zephyrian officer step backward. The human who spoke wore a uniform of deep blue, decorated with symbols that seemed to shift and change as they watched. Behind her, the bridge of her ship stretched, away into the distance, filled with technologies that looked like magic. "I am Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet," the human said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes held the coldness of deep space. "You are Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire. We have been expecting you." "Expecting us?" Kethvar found his voice. "How could you know we were coming?" Admiral Chen smiled, but it was not a friendly expression. "We have been watching your empire expand for over 200 years, Admiral. We know your methods, we know your targets, we know your weaknesses." The admission hit the Zephyrian bridge like a physical blow. 200 years? The humans had been watching them for 200 years? "But that's impossible," Kethvar protested. "You haven't even left your solar system, haven't we?" Chen asked. "Tell me, Admiral, what did you think those objects were that your sensors detected at the edge of our system? The ones that appeared and disappeared?" Kethvar felt ice form in his stomach. Those mysterious contacts had been human ships, ships that could hide from the best sensors in the galaxy. "You see," Chen continued, "we learned very early that the galaxy was full of species like yours, aggressive, expansionist, always looking for weaker civilizations to conquer. So we made a choice. We would let you think we were weak while we prepared for the day you came calling." On the tactical display, more human ships continued to emerge from the dimensional rifts. The count had passed 3,000 and was still climbing. "Where did all these ships come from?" Vexhi asked in amazement. "Pocket dimensions," Chen explained, as if reading her mind. "We learned to fold space-time and create hidden construction facilities outside normal reality. Every ship you see was built in facilities that exist between dimensions, safe from prying eyes, safe from preemptive strikes." Kethvar looked at his 50 ships, then at the massive human fleet that now surrounded them on all sides. "What do you want from us?" "We want you to return to your empire and deliver a message," Chen said. "The age of easy conquest is over. Humanity has entered the galactic community, and we will not tolerate aggressive expansion into peaceful systems." "You're threatening the entire Zephyrian Empire?" Kethvar asked. "No, Admiral," Chen replied. "We're making a promise. Any empire that continues to attack peaceful civilizations will find itself facing the Terran Defense Fleet. And as you can see, we are very well prepared for such encounters." To demonstrate her point, the human ships began to power up their weapons. Energy readings spiked beyond anything the Zephyrians had ever recorded. The space around the human fleet began to glow with barely contained power. "Our weapons systems are detecting energy levels that should not be possible," Brendar reported, his voice shaking. "A single broadside from their main battle line would destroy our entire fleet." "But you said you were a defensive fleet," Kethvar said desperately. "We are," Chen agreed. "We defend not just Earth, but any civilization that cannot defend itself from empires like yours. We have been waiting a very long time for this conversation, Admiral." Around them, space itself seemed to thrum with the power of the human ships. The Zephyrian fleet, which had seemed so mighty when they arrived, now looked like toys floating next to giants. "I will deliver your message," Kethvar said quietly. "Good," Chen replied. "But first, we need to discuss terms. You see, Admiral, this isn't just about our two civilizations anymore. This is about establishing a new order in this galaxy, an order where might does not automatically make right." Kethvar realized that everything had changed. The humans weren't just defending their world. They were announcing themselves as a new galactic power, a power that had been planning this moment for centuries, and they were just getting started. Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen watched the Zephyrian ships on her tactical display. They hung in space like frightened animals, their weapons powered down, their crews probably in shock. She understood their confusion. Every species that encountered humanity for the first time went through the same process of disbelief. "Admiral," said her tactical officer, Commander Jackson Torres, "the alien fleet is maintaining position but showing no hostile intent. Should we proceed with the demonstration?" "Not yet," Chen replied. "Let them process what they're seeing first. Fear makes people stupid, but understanding makes them dangerous. We want them to understand." On the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Kethvar was trying to make sense of what had happened to his perfect invasion plan. The humans had not just surprised him with their technology, they had revealed something far more disturbing. "Commander Vexhai," he said quietly, "run a tactical analysis of their fleet deployment." Vexhai had been studying the human ships since they appeared. What she found made her tentacles curl with nervous energy. "Admiral, their formation is not random. Every ship is positioned for maximum tactical advantage. They have created overlapping fields of fire that cover every possible escape route. They also have ships stationed at specific points that would allow them to cut off our retreat to any neighboring system." They planned this, Kethvar realized, down to the smallest detail. "There's more," Vexhai continued. "I have been analyzing their ship designs. Admiral, these vessels are not just advanced. They are specifically designed to counter our technology. Their shields operate on frequencies that would neutralize our weapons. Their armor appears to be composed of materials that would absorb our particle beams." Tolmesh looked up from his station with wide eyes. How could they know so much about our weapons? The answer came from Admiral Chen herself. A new transmission appeared on their screen, and this time she was not alone. Behind her stood officers from what looked like a dozen different species. Some were tall and thin like Zephyrians. Others were short and broad. A few seemed to be made of living crystal. "Admiral Kethvar," Chen began, "I would like you to meet some colleagues of mine. They represent civilizations that your empire has conquered over the past several centuries." The implications hit Kethvar like a physical blow. "You've been in contact with our conquered worlds?" "Not just contact," Chen smiled. "We've been offering them something your empire never could. Hope." One of the alien officers stepped forward. Kethvar recognized the species immediately. They were Veltari, a people the empire had conquered 30 years ago. "I am Commander Zethic of the Free Veltari Republic," the alien said. "My people have been working with humanity to prepare for this day. We provided detailed information about Zephyrian military capabilities in exchange for human protection and technology. Another officer moved forward, this one from a species HFY didn't recognize. The Crystalline Collective has been monitoring Zephyrian expansion for 50 years, she said in a voice like singing bells. Humanity offered us alliance instead of conquest. The choice was simple. Chen gestured to the group behind her. Admiral, you're looking at representatives of 47 different civilizations. Some are species your empire conquered. Others are civilizations that heard about human protection and sought us out. All of them have been helping us prepare for eventual contact with the Zephyrian Empire. The truth was becoming clear to HFY, and it was more terrifying than any weapon the humans possessed. They had not just been hiding their own capabilities. They had been building a galaxy-wide network of allies and intelligence sources. For how long? He asked. We made first contact with refugees from your empire 150 years ago, Chen replied. A damaged ship carrying Veltari survivors managed to reach our outer sensor grid. When we learned what had happened to their world, we made a decision. No more. No more aggressive empires destroying peaceful civilizations while the galaxy watches. But your own world, HFY protested. You were fighting constant wars among yourselves. We observed your conflicts. Chen's smile became genuinely amused. Admiral, did you never wonder why our wars became so much more sophisticated over the past century? Why our tactics and technologies advanced so rapidly? The realization hit Vexhai first. They were training, she whispered. The human conflicts were not real wars. They were training exercises. Very good, Commander, Chen said, having somehow heard her despite the closed channel. We have been monitoring your communications for quite some time. Yes, our conflicts were carefully controlled training scenarios. We tested weapons, tactics, and strategies against opponents who knew our capabilities. Every human military force on Earth has been preparing for this specific type of engagement for over a century. To demonstrate her point, Chen sent tactical data to the Zephyrian fleet. The information showed detailed analysis of every Zephyrian weapon system, ship design, and tactical doctrine. The humans knew everything about their enemy down to the smallest details. This is impossible, HFY said. No species could coordinate such a long-term deception. You're thinking like a Zephyrian, Chen replied. Your empire conquers and moves on. You don't plan beyond the next expansion. Humans think differently. We plan for our children's children. We prepare for threats that might not appear for centuries. Commander, Torres stepped up beside Chen. Admiral HFY, every major human conflict in the past 100 years was designed to test our abilities against specific types of opponents. We studied your tactics through our allies who had fought you. We developed counters for every strategy in your military database. On the tactical display, the human ships began to move, but they were not attacking. Instead, they demonstrated a series of maneuvers that perfectly countered every standard Zephyrian battle formation. Their movements were precise, coordinated, and utterly devastating in their efficiency. We could have destroyed your fleet the moment you entered our system, Chen explained. Our dimensional weapons have ranges that exceed your sensor capabilities. But destruction was never our goal. Understanding is our goal. Understanding of what? HFY asked. Understanding that the galaxy is about to change, Chen replied. For thousands of years, aggressive species like yours have dominated through superior technology and ruthless expansion. But technology has limits. Eventually, every species reaches a point where their advancement slows. When that happens, they become vulnerable to someone who planned better. Chen gestured to the massive fleet surrounding the Zephyrians. Every ship you see represents a different approach to galactic civilization. We didn't build these vessels to conquer. We built them to protect. We didn't develop this technology to destroy. We developed it to preserve. But you could destroy us, HFY said quietly. Easily, Chen agreed. But that would make us no better than you. Instead, we're offering you a choice. The same choice we offered to every other civilization we've contacted. Join the new galactic community as equals, or continue your path of conquest and face the consequences. Vex High looked at her sensor readings one more time. The human fleet was still growing. More ships continued to emerge from dimensional rifts around the solar system. The count had passed 5,000 and showed no signs of stopping. "How many ships do you have?" she asked. "Enough," Chen replied simply. "We have been building for over a century, Commander. We have ship construction facilities in pocket dimensions throughout this galaxy. We can deploy fleets anywhere, anytime. Without warning." The demonstration was clear. Humanity had not just hidden their technology. They had fundamentally changed the balance of power in the galaxy. They had built a force capable of challenging any aggressive empire while offering protection to peaceful civilizations. "What happens now?" Kethvar asked. "Now you return to your empire with our message," Chen said. "The age of easy conquest is over. The galaxy has new protectors. Tell your leaders that humanity and its allies are watching. Any further aggression against peaceful worlds will be met with immediate response." As if to emphasize her point, rifts began opening in space near several other star systems visible on the long-range sensors. More human fleets were positioning themselves throughout the region. Admiral Kethvar realized that he was witnessing the end of one galactic age and the beginning of another. The humans had been patient, thorough, and absolutely ruthless in their preparation. They had turned their apparent weakness into the ultimate strength, and they were just getting started. The battle that Admiral Kethvar expected never came. Instead, something far more unsettling happened. The human ships simply waited. They held their positions around the Zephyrian fleet with the patience of predators who knew their prey had nowhere to run. "Admiral," Communications Officer Yithral reported, "we are receiving surrender demands from our own ships." "What?" Kethvar spun around. "Explain." "Several of our captains are requesting permission to surrender to the human fleet. They say resistance is futile and they don't want to see their crews destroyed." Kethvar felt his authority crumbling. Around him, his own officers were abandoning him before the battle had even begun. But then he looked at the tactical display and understood their fear. The human fleet now numbered over 8,000 ships, and more continued to arrive through dimensional rifts. "Patch me through to Fleet Admiral Chen," he said quietly. Chen's face appeared on the screen immediately, as if she had been waiting for his call. "Yes, Admiral?" "What are your terms for surrender?" "We don't accept surrenders," Chen replied, surprising him. "We accept applications for citizenship in the new galactic community." "What's the difference?" "Surrender implies defeat. What we're offering is transformation. Your crews will be treated as guests while they learn about the new order we're establishing. Your ships will be studied so we can understand your technology better, and you will be given the opportunity to return to your empire as ambassadors for change." Before Kethvar could respond, his weapons officer called out in alarm. "Admiral, our weapons systems are shutting down. I'm reading system failures across all offensive capabilities." "It's not a failure," Chen explained calmly. "We're simply disabling your ability to harm anyone while we talk. Your life support, navigation, and communication systems are unaffected." Kethvar realized that the humans had been inside his ship's computer systems all along. They could have disabled or destroyed his fleet at any time. The fact that they chose to simply neutralize threats while preserving life said something important about their intentions. "How long have you been in our systems?" he asked. "Since you entered this solar system," Chen replied. "We've been monitoring your communications, your tactical planning, and your ship operations. We know everything about your mission, your orders, and your empire's current military status." The admission should have been terrifying, but Kethvar found it oddly comforting. If the humans had wanted to destroy his fleet, they could have done it without warning. Instead, they had chosen to capture them intact. "What happens to my crew?" he asked. "They will be housed in comfortable facilities on Earth while they learn about human civilization and our galactic policies. Many will choose to stay and help us build the new order. Others will return home as ambassadors. The choice will be theirs." As if to demonstrate their sincerity, transporter beams began to move Zephyrian crew members from their ships to human vessels. But instead of the cramped prison cells Cathavar expected, the Zephyrians found themselves in spacious quarters with medical facilities, recreational areas, and dining halls serving food from dozens of different worlds. "This is a prison?" Talmesh asked as he was transported to Chen's flagship. "This is a university," replied Commander Torres, who met them in the transport bay. "You're here to learn. What you do with that knowledge when you leave is up to you." Over the following days, the Zephyrians discovered the true scope of humanity's plans. Earth was not just defended by a hidden fleet. It was the center of a vast network that spanned the galaxy. Human ships and allies were positioned near every major aggressive empire. Peaceful civilizations that had lived in fear for centuries now had protection and technology sharing agreements with humanity. Commander Vexhai was given access to the human intelligence databases. What she found there changed her understanding of the galaxy completely. "Admiral," she reported to Kethvar during one of their daily briefings, "the humans have detailed files on over 300 spacefaring civilizations. They know the location, technology level, and political structure of every major species in this part of the galaxy. How is that possible? They've been building a network of allies and information sources for over 2 centuries. Every refugee who escaped conquest, every trader who visited multiple systems, every scientist who wanted to share knowledge. They all eventually found their way to humanity. The humans had created something unprecedented in galactic history. Instead of an empire built on conquest, they had built a community based on mutual protection and shared advancement. Species that had been enemies for centuries were now working together under human coordination. Admiral Chen visited Kethvar personally on the 3rd day of their captivity. She found him in the observation deck of the human ship, staring out at Earth. "Beautiful world," she said, joining him at the viewing window. "It looks so peaceful," Kethvar replied. "Nothing like the fortress world I expected." "That's because we don't rule through fear," Chen explained. "We rule through hope. Every species in our alliance joined us because we offered them something better than what they had before. And what do you offer the Zephyrian Empire? The same thing we offer everyone: security, prosperity, and the chance to be part of something greater than yourself." Chen gestured to the stars beyond Earth. "Your empire has conquered 400 worlds, Admiral. How many of those worlds are truly loyal to you? How many would rebel if they thought they could win?" Kethvar considered the question. The answer was uncomfortable. Most conquered worlds remained loyal only because they feared Zephyrian retaliation. "All of them," he admitted. "Our alliance includes over 600 worlds," Chen said. "All of them joined voluntarily. All of them contribute according to their abilities and receive according to their needs. All of them know that if they are threatened, the entire alliance will come to their defense." To demonstrate her point, Chen showed him real-time displays of human activities throughout the galaxy. Refugee ships being escorted to safety. Human engineers helping to rebuild war-damaged worlds. Human teachers sharing advanced technologies with developing civilizations. "This is what we do," Chen explained. "We protect, we build, we share. And in return, we receive loyalty that conquest could never achieve." On the 5th day, rifts began opening in space throughout the galaxy. But these were not near threatened worlds. They were near the home systems of every major aggressive empire. Human fleets emerged from dimensional space around Zephyrian colonies, Korthak expansion fleets, and Draconian invasion forces. News reports began flooding in from across the galaxy. Every aggressive empire was receiving the same message humanity had given to the Zephyrians. "Change your ways or face the consequences?" You did this all simultaneously, Kethvar realized. You revealed yourselves to every aggressive species at the same time. We had to, Chen explained. If we had approached empires one at a time, they would have formed alliances against us. By revealing ourselves to everyone at once, we prevented them from coordinating a response. The reports continued to arrive. Some empires, like the Korthax, had immediately begun attacking human ships. Their fleets had been disabled within hours. Others, like the Draconians, had requested negotiations. A few smaller, aggressive species had simply surrendered and asked to join the human alliance. In a single day, you changed the balance of power in the entire galaxy, Kethvar said with something approaching admiration. We've been preparing for this day for over 200 years, Chen replied. Every simulation, every training exercise, every diplomatic contact has been building toward this moment. When the time came for Kethvar to return to his empire, he carried with him more than just a message. He carried proof of humanity's capabilities, recordings of their technology, and most importantly, evidence that aggressive expansion was no longer a viable strategy for galactic dominance. As his ship prepared to depart Earth's solar system, Kethvar received one final transmission from Admiral Chen. "Remember, Admiral," she said, "this is not about humanity ruling the galaxy. This is about the galaxy learning to rule itself through cooperation instead of conquest. We will be watching, but we will not be controlling. The choice of what kind of civilization you become is still yours to make." Kethavar's ship passed through a dimensional rift that delivered him directly to the edge of Zephyrian space. Behind him, Earth's solar system returned to its apparent quiet normality. But now he knew the truth. Humanity and its allies were always watching, always ready, always prepared to respond to threats against peaceful civilizations. The age of easy conquest was indeed over. The galaxy had new guardians, and they had changed everything forever. As news of humanity's emergence spread throughout the galaxy, one message repeated on every communication channel. The humans have arrived, and everything changes now. And, in the depths of space, dimensional rifts remained open, ready to deploy human fleets wherever they were needed to protect the peace.